So, hello and welcome to the Smart Cities and Service Improvements Committee, the first one in a post-COVID era. We are the ones working um, to improve city services and make our city smarter. I am Chair Councilmember Lundiep, happy to preside over this meeting. And let's go ahead and begin. Kip, Rob.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Mr. Mayor, members of the committee, members of the public. Kip Harkness, Deputy City Manager. This is our first meeting in a while, as we've all been deep in what I am now thinking of as our COVID year. So we have three items on the agenda. We'll do a look at the roadmap, which has changed dramatically since the last time we talked about it. We will do a deep dive into food distribution, which wasn't even something that we did as a city last time we met. And we will talk about our drive to digital, which has gotten a new urgency and a new impetus as a result of the COVID era that we're in. Before we dive into that, I wanted to just do a little bit of top line framing and expectation setting. The committee structure that you see here is going to be very much like the rest of the organization, pared down and focused on a response to COVID. So almost all of the items you will see, all of them today and many of them in the future will have a relationship to the work we're doing in terms of response to the pandemic. And the general volume of the work that we'll be bringing to you will be a little bit more lighter and more focused. To give you a sense of the why on that, I was just actually looking at a spreadsheet. Our Civic Innovation Office, which Dolan leads, about a year ago, we had between our staff and our Fuse Fellows and a couple of key other positions, we had about 21 positions, 21 people focused on just the innovation part of our technology work. If you subtract out people where the fellowships have ended, we've cut the positions because of the budget, and we've reoriented people into the Emergency Operations Center. The grand total of that office is now one person who's fully dedicated to working on the 311 translation and the Recycle Plus. Every other person is either rededicated to the Emergency Operations Center, has been promoted to other positions within the city, or has rotated back out into the private sector. So we've gone from 21 to 1. And so if we sound a little tight and a little stretched at sometimes, that's because of the reality of where we're at. On the flip side, the good news is the urgency of the crisis has really given new impetus to digital transformation. We no longer have to advocate for this. We no longer have to cajole for this. In fact, we're on the other side of the problem of how fast can we move. People who I thought would never give up their printers are the ones who are pounding us for online signatures and non-paper-based processes. And we've had an explosion of innovation from the field staff adapting to new ways of doing business, everything from video inspections to virtual EOCs and everything in between. And so the irony of this era is this is the best of times and this is the worst of times, right? It is certainly the best of times in terms of digital transformation, and it is the worst of times because of the reason that we have to do it. And so our imperative is and remains around innovation and transformation. The reason for it is all the more vital to ensure service to those who are most vulnerable in this time of need. And I feel we are very fortunate. And Mayor, I want to thank you personally for your forceful leadership over the last 4 years on this. I firmly believe, based on what I've heard from other cities and the analysis I've done, without the last 4 years of relentless focus on becoming brilliant at the basics and building the horsepower and the manpower and the woman power to do this technology work, we would not have been able to respond to COVID the way that we did. We would have been in much worse shape on everything from how we delivered garbage to how we answered residents' concerns. We're by no means perfect. We have a heck of a lot to learn, and we need to learn every single day. But without the last 4 years and the leadership that you launched, I don't think we would be able to have done what we did.
Thank you, Kip.
You're welcome, sir. And related to that, one of the new members that we've had join us is Jordan Sun, who is the Mayor's Chief Innovation Officer. And Jordan has jumped right in, or zoomed right in, as the case may be, into the work with just an amazing attitude and an amazing intellect that he's brought and re-rallied the Moti, small but mighty Moti team in support of a large range of efforts, from from how we think about testing to how we think about almost everything we're doing in the Emergency Operations Center. So welcome you, Jordan, as a partner and as a leader on the team, helping us think and make the future happen. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to first Registry Nair, and she's going to take you through a familiar process, which will be quite different from the last time you saw it, which is our roadmap update. So without any further ado, I turn it over to Registry Nair, whose other job now is also supporting the food distribution, digital inclusion in the Emergency Operations Center, as well as trying to support the work of this committee. Registry, over to you. And you've just muted yourself, Registry.
I actually got booted out.
Oh.
So Mike, I would need your assistance to make sure I have.
All right, so while we're doing that vamping, one other thing that I would add is that you'll see more of Rob Lloyd and a little bit less of Dolan Beckel. It's not any slight on Dolan, but it is because we're making sure that as we do the shift that Rob is able to take an even larger leadership role as our CIO on much of this work. As I said, all of Dolan's team being redistributed, it made sense for us to emphasize the role of the IT director and the CIO in this and make sure that Dolan has the space that he needs to continue on with the vital food work. Looks like we have Registry back and able to share her screen. So I'll turn it back to her.
Great. Thank you, Kip. And sorry, I don't live in San Jose, so someday broadband in Milpitas. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, Honorable Mayor, and members of the committee and public. My name is Registry Nair, Assistant to the City Manager in Civic Innovation. Right. So when we last left our heroes, we presented back in February a refreshed roadmap for the spring of 2020 that identified 42 projects on the Smart City Roadmap 2.0. Also, we provided the committee an update on Small Wonders Unleash Your Geek that was launched in December 2019 in partnership with the Mayor's Office of Technology and Innovation and City Innovate that oversees this Startup in Residence program. Staff was on track with the procurement process for a total of 6 operational and community benefit challenges that you see on the slide. Also in parallel, staff was ready to launch the first ever Innovation Learning Lab in partnership with Human Resources Department to help in our mission in creating a new generation of innovators. Then in March, our lives dramatically changed when the county officially ordered shelter-in-place mandate and the city officially closed its offices to the public in response to COVID pandemic. Regardless, city staff remained vigilant to deliver their innovative projects, and I wanted to acknowledge 3 projects that can be added to our victory list shown on the far right column. The Rent Registry, which is the apartment rent ordinance pilot project. This was led by the Housing Department. EOC Damage Assessment GIS tools and capabilities, which was led by our Office of Emergency Management in partnership with Public Works. And then lastly is the Silicon Valley Regional Communication System, which was led by the Police Department in partnership with Fire Department. Congratulations to all the teams who, with their hard work. So in preparation for this meeting, thank you. In preparation for this meeting, Civic Innovation team is required to refresh the Smart City Roadmap per committee's direction every 6 months. Since there have been many challenges associated with COVID-19 response and relief efforts at the city, we recognize the need to reprioritize all the projects identified on the Smart City Roadmap 2.0 so that it aligns with the city's efforts for COVID response work. We approached the rebuilding of the Smart City Roadmap through a 4-step process that you see on the slide that stems from an agile approach called weighted shortest job first. This is a prioritization model used to sequence jobs in order to produce maximum benefits and minimize work in progress. How we use this specific approach in rebuilding the roadmap is to identify the top initiatives that provide the most value and the greatest impact to our community. We did actually introduce this prioritization method last year, and actually it's been very successful in helping the city leadership and EOC, both at the city and the county, to prioritize projects that matter most. In the next few slides, I'll go in detail with each of these steps. So step one is a brainstorming session. We virtually gathered city leadership from planning, building, code enforcement, public works, library, information technology, Mayor's Office of Technology and Innovation, and City Manager's Office to review the existing list of active innovation projects that included Big Rock, IT Roadmap, and Small Wonders. We requested the team here that you see on the slide to identify their top 10 projects based on the understanding of the goals and the risks and the benefits for each of these projects. We all reviewed the list together and identified additional projects that needed to be included due to COVID. Collectively, we shortlisted the 42 projects to 30. So in the step two, the attributes, this is where we started to evaluate each of the 30 projects against 4 attributes that you see on the slide separately. First is community value, where we assess the project based upon the magnitude of the impact to our community, the number of people it impacts. Second is the opportunity enablement or risk management. This is where we assess knowing if we all fail to complete this initiative, would we open the community up to more risk or cause litigation if not completed? Third is time criticality, where we assess how important it is to get this initiative done quickly, or does it have a grant or a federal funding deadline that needs to be met? And the total of these 3 attributes is what we call the cost of the delay, and I'll explain further. And the last attribute is the job duration, which evaluates to how long it will take to execute any of these projects. Can it be done quickly? Is it routine, or is it complex with many unknowns? The third step is scoring. Since the shelter in place, we were able to quickly do this process virtually using Zoom and an online tool called Mural, which creates digital whiteboards for teams to collaborate. And it's really been effective in how to make this interactive and help the teams focus. In this step, we scored each of these projects relative to one another for all the 4 attributes separately, using a number system, here's another vocabulary word, called Fibonacci Sequence, that you can see on the bottom left-hand of the screen. It goes from 1 to 21. And it is a popular scoring scale in Agile for estimating, and it prevents estimates from being too close to one another. And last is prioritization. This is the fun part, where we get to take the scores for community impact, opportunity risk, and time criticality, which, as I mentioned before, totals the total cost of delay, and divide that by the job duration, which is how quickly can we deliver these projects to get what is called the weighted shortest job first. And this gives us an opportunity to really prioritize the top projects for this roadmap refresh. So just a quick recap. This is where we were in February, pre-COVID. And now, what we wanted to show to the committee and to the members of the public is how this process of weighted shortest job first falls into the existing roadmap. What you see on that's highlighted in purple are the prioritized projects. Also, as you see on the legend on the bottom right-hand side, we identified again the 3 projects that are starred, has a yellow star as what is completed, and added on to our ever-growing victory list. Also, what is the circle is the 5 projects that have the ability to converge with some of our future projects, or the projects that have been prioritized on the new roadmap. And then lastly, the 4 projects that you see dashed, these are the ones that were brand new post-COVID that we wanted to include. So removing all the projects that were not shaded in purple, this is our brand new Smart City Roadmap 3.0 response to COVID-19. It is a total of 22 projects that includes the Big Rocks, IT Roadmap, and the Small Wonders. That we've consolidated it all into one slide, as you see the Small Wonders on the bottom. That are now, they are prioritized from left to right, as shown on the scale on the bottom of this slide. Next month, we will provide a status update for each of these projects moving forward, with also a new legend color that you see on the bottom right. So overall, you can see our work looks very different than it did 6 months ago. We have realigned our roadmap to better reflect the work that we must do in today to respond to COVID-19. Therefore, we do need to shift our priorities, and any Big Rock or Small Wonder project that is not related to the city's effort to respond to COVID-19 will not be prioritized at this time for the next 6 months. So this concludes my presentation, and I'm glad my broadband survived. I will pass it back to Kip for closing remarks.
Thank you, Reggie. As you can see, we've tried very hard to focus on the people who are suffering the most in this moment of COVID, and make sure, as always, that our innovation technology efforts are not off to the side or simply gee whiz and interesting, but what is causing the most pain to the most people, what is core to what the city should do, and what is actually achievable. And so this very focused roadmap, we think, is very responsive to the needs of now, but also does not at all let go of our larger vision of transforming the city. And in fact, as I said, one of the unintended positive consequences of this is that we've had far more support across the organization for the systemic business process transformation and drive to digital, which you'll hear more about as item 3 later. So with that, we'll stop. We're happy to take any comments, perspective, especially where we might have missed and either miss something that needs to be on the roadmap, or maybe have something on the roadmap where we need to turn the volume down, or another perspective. So we turn it back over to you, Mr. Chair, and the committee.
Mr. Chair, could we ask that the roadmap be reposted, just as we're asking questions?
Yes, please. Go ahead and repost the roadmap, and we have one public comment, and we can go to that first before Mr. Soto. Go ahead. Hang on. Let me. Why is this? Let me allow.
Good afternoon, Council.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Depp. Good afternoon, Council. First of all, I'd like to thank Councilman Jimenez for your attendance at the Horseshoe event that I sponsored. It was really cool to have you there and for you to take the time to attend. So thank you for that. Can you guys hear me?
We can.
Okay, all right. Secondly, I would equity I saw at like number 7, and I know that Kip probably doesn't mean to sound as cavalier and indifferent and disconnected as he actually is, but it's getting really frustrating for me to listen to these council meetings, and the death rate of Latinos on the East Side is not absolute first priority in these meetings. I think that as a collective, as a city, the lack of prioritization in that area, we're actually dehumanizing ourselves, because we feel like nothing. Like, you guys are talking about a smart city, and yeah, we've revamped. Yeah, too bad that there's too many deaths of Mexicans on the east side of San Jose. Gosh, that's a shame. But however, we've been able to capitalize as a result of those deaths and streamline our business licenses. And we've been able to make sure that ex-Mayor Mckinley has a full street now. at the expense of the Latino deaths on the East Side. I mean, this is disgusting. I mean, really, it is. You really need to see it, because I would like you guys to go to a hospital and watch a Latino kid die of COVID and see how important smart cities are then. See how much of a priority as to whether or not Tom Mckinley has outside dining when you have that going on in your city. The people don't have enough to eat. You have this tsunami of evictions that is coming up in just a couple of weeks, and you guys are just laughing and just having a really just a gay grand time, knowing. But however, as a result of that, we've been able to streamline other processes in the city. So thumbs up to Jay Paul, thumbs up to Eric Caden, thumbs up to Gary Dillabo. This is what's happening. And that's why I'm here. I'm going to be at every single one of these meetings, every single one of these meetings, every city council meeting, every single one of them. One thing I would like to say is that I've never really spoken directly to Landep, but I'd like to thank you for you have a very objective perspective that you bring to these council meetings that's detached from one way or another. And I'd just like to tell you, in listening to it, I really appreciate the input that you give, Landep. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Soto. Mr. Beekman. And I don't know if I'm doing this or I'm going to ask Mike to do it because I don't seem to have control.
Go ahead, Mr. Beekman.
Hi, thank you. You know, I like what Paul Soto had to say. You know, I'm kind of in that same realm that, you know, we have, you know, issues of housing, food, and just people's health that I think need to take a much higher priority than smart city stuff. And I've been talking, you know, all these months before summer break, and I have to learn to get myself up to talking about these things after a summer break to continue the same way of thinking. You know, it's my feeling that smart city has to be low on the priority list. There's important goals that can be attained with smart city that the mayor, like what was said by Kip at the beginning, you prepared yourselves incredibly well, and we're incredibly organized how to talk about these things at this time, I think. Thank you for that. And I think it's from that we can go at a really slow pace and just build, you know, these federal mandates of broadband and 5G, which is going to contribute to death, and it's going to contribute to bad health of the people of the East Side. And we have to acknowledge that with each other. And you built plans within, you know, your plan that you just shared, your purple plans, I guess now. They do talk about the ideas of how to, you know, interact with people about broadband. How can we be at a point where, as government, even though you have to do these actions, how can you talk to the community themselves about how they can ask, you know, how is this process going? Can I appeal if broadband's being placed in my neighborhood? How can you as government help with that? How can you facilitate to be sure that, you know, the telecoms are sending out notifications on time, exactly where they should be, so people can appeal? You know, are you doing all those steps? That's the kind of stuff you guys really got to work on. And thank you for the language interpretation ideas that you have. Language interpretation is really coming on well. And that's care, and that's caring for the community. And that's all that's needed. You know, I mean, that's the most important factor of what's needed. And if you give that care to the community and the options to be smart and intelligent, they'll respond to you in that way in return. And we'll just have a much better community. And that is the innovation. I've said it over and over. So good luck in those efforts. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Beekman. Mayor, I believe you had questions? You've just muted yourself, sir.
Oh, I did. How about that? Thank you very much. Smart city, nothing. I can't even unmute myself. Hey, so Raji, could we take another look at that roadmap? And thanks for all the work you guys did to figure out all this prioritization stuff. There we go. Hey, so in an earlier iteration, I couldn't help but see, I think the Terragraph project kind of reared its head again. I'm curious, is that something we're still, I mean, I knew that we were looking at some potential with that, but is there anything left to that? Are there any legs left on that project?
There are. We have a couple of things that we're in negotiations with Facebook on right now. And we've got a couple of directions that we think will support both some of the work in downtown and some of the digital inclusion work on the east side and other places. And as soon as that's just a little bit more complete, we can come back to the committee and the public with that information. But the pivot on that has been to use that infrastructure to try to support some of the downtown business area and also reposition some of that so that we can take that to east side and other areas that are dramatically affected by COVID to support connectivity. So that's in the works, and a little bit more when that gets finalized.
Super helpful. Thanks, Kip. And Kip, I know that you were quite serious when you said that equity was a primary concern here. Maybe you want to describe with regard to the prioritized projects, because it sounds like some folks in the community may not fully understand what it is you're doing and what we're all working on together, where that's reflected.
Yeah, and I would say one thing is I always appreciate the feedback, right? I do ask for open, candid, and direct. And so when people are open, candid, and direct with me, I really do appreciate that. It's part of how I learn. One of the things I think that we've realized with COVID is that while the pandemic is global and everybody is affected, some people are far more affected than others. And in particular in San Jose, we have seen and reinforced across the nation that Black people, Latinx community, lower income folks are being hit again, kind of 1, 2, and 3 times with this. And so part of the big effort that we've done around this is twofold. One is, I mentioned earlier, we've pivoted almost every single person who is in the Smart Cities team as a whole into the Emergency Operations Center, with the primary focus being on 2 groups: digital inclusion, which is continues to be part of our Smart City work and is reprioritized here, and the food, which you'll hear about soon. And the food has had a major technology component to it in order to make sure that the meals get out and the meals get to the right folks. I won't steal any of that presentation, but essentially what we've tried to do, and we still have a lot to learn, is put equity as one of the drivers around each and every one of these questions of whether it becomes a priority. Who is it reaching? Is it reaching enough people? And so on the equity line in particular, we have the digital inclusion work called out, but everything on this list, we are trying to look at through an equity lens and trying to deploy in a way that is supportive of people who have been the victims of historical racism and structural racism and white supremacy. So again, a long way to go, but this much pared down list is very much directly a response to both COVID and the emerging clarity on the importance of the equity work.
Okay, and specifically the digital inclusion work, the Access East Side, the hotspots distribution for 11,000 students. Fair to say all that work, plus all the work you're doing in food distribution, that 100%, if not 99.5%, if not 100% of the recipients of the beneficiaries of that work are low-income families.
That's
right?
exactly the intent, and we've stopped a lot of other things, a lot of nice-to-haves, in order to make sure that those have had the A teams and the resources and technologies that they need to do that well. So those have been absolute top priorities from very early on. The food in particular is something that we took on in mid-March at a request from the county, and we took on, as you know, not only the issue of supporting people here in San Jose, but also county-wide. We were told early on by FEMA that they would not be reimbursing for most of that work, and so we continued on regardless of that because of the priority it was. Fortunately, the coronavirus relief funds came in and are now covering much of the cost of that, but at the time we actually didn't even know that. So you're absolutely correct.
All right, thanks, Kip. I know that we're in the age of social media, and perhaps all too often the division in our communities only becomes deeper, particularly as the circumstances become more dire for so many families who are struggling right now. But it is important for us, I think, before we judge, to really understand well what's the work that's being done. And I appreciate all the great work that you and the rest of the team are doing. I had a couple questions about some of the things that made it onto the priority list. For example, the small cell permitting deployment process improvements, it seems like you guys had done an enormous amount of heavy lifting to get that pretty well ironed out. And I think we're up to more than 100 small cells a month. Why is that still on the priority list?
It's still on the priority list because of the shift in the way that people are working and learning, right? So connectivity has always been important. Connectivity is even more important. Not everybody can work from home, but about 42% of people in Santa Clara County can work from home successfully. And at this point, with distance learning being the only way that children are learning, that connectivity is important, increasingly important for all of our school children. So on the equity side below, we have a focus on those who cannot afford that connectivity and getting them that connectivity. In the smart infrastructure side, though, you need that backbone infrastructure there in the first place in order for the hotspots to work. And part of the existing small cell agreements are citywide and allow us to build out that network in exactly the areas that need the connectivity now. And part of the reason continuing that building is important, threefold. One is the patterns of usage has shifted. So the areas that they were going to build out before are a little bit different than now. So they need to build out in more residential areas so people in their homes can have better connectivity. Second reason is I mentioned that this is absolutely vital to making sure that we can do distance learning and that those who can work from home can continue to do so. And then third, there are actually a lot of good jobs related to small cell deployment, a lot of good trades jobs, electricians, and others that we want to make sure are continuing to roll out during this time so that those folks can do that good work and move forward. So those are the reasons that remains a priority. The refinement of the process itself is less and less of an issue as we do have it down pretty well, but it's ensuring that that deployment is driven and continues to be driven as quickly as possible.
Okay, thanks. And then on the website employee portals, I know website has been an ongoing challenge, sort of our great whale. Are we toward the end of that work now?
On the website, yes. The employee portal work is as we've pivoted to having a lot of people work from home. In order to get full access to the normal employee portals, you have to have VPN or a virtual private network. And there's a limit at this point. There's some limits on how many people we can have the VPN. So what we've realized is that most of the things that people are reaching behind the firewall for to use VPN are actually things that we are perfectly fine having on a public employee portal. So we're reconfiguring the website to include a more robust public employee portal. So that'll take some of the demand off of the VPN, the virtual personal network, so that we can optimize that and allow people to work without interruption. I realize I've got some people who know it far better than I on the call. Jerry or Rob, did I get that right?
Yeah, Kip, the only thing I would add is also as people are working from home, how do you surface how to find each other, the collaboration tools, other resources they'll need to be able to do their job from home that they had ready access to here at the office. So it is to kind of complete the circuit and make sure people feel like they have everything they need to do those things.
That's great. Okay. Appreciate all that. Basically, the moment is altering our priorities, so I get it. And then I recognize you're not going to accomplish all the goals all at once, and some things need to take a back seat given the moment we're in. Climate Smart doesn't have any particular priorities. And I'm just wondering, how often, is it every 6 months that we refresh this?
Correct.
Okay. Could I just throw one on the radar for whenever you guys may come back to the refresh, just to consider if we're thinking about Climate Smart, which is, I know Laura Stachinsky in DOT has been working with some external partners to figure out, electric vehicle adoption in low-income communities, and particularly around a concept I think could become really important for mobility, given everyone's fears of getting on transit right now. I mean, we see transit ridership has just plummeted. And this idea of creating car sharing ride circles of sorts in neighborhoods to give accessibility to folks to an electric vehicle. I'm guessing it's going to take a pretty significant amount of work around maybe a texting app or something like that, that would enable many of our low-income families to be able to even be aware and to be able to engage meaningfully, to be able to get access, a low-cost access to a vehicle. And so I think that there may be a smart city solution for this, and it would be interesting and helpful just to know if there's a role for that to be a prioritized project as we make the refresh.
Yeah, we'll definitely loop back with Laura, check in, see where she's at, and what ways we might assess and where we fit on the prioritization, either in this round or the next.
Cool. Thanks for considering that.
All right, Vice Mayor Jones.
Yes, thanks, Chair. Kip, on the updated roadmap, I see that the autonomous vehicle project is eliminated. And are we considering that pilot to be completed, or it was just taken off because it wasn't ranked as a top priority or a high priority?
That also relates to a pivot in the DOT staff. A lot of the team that was working on that is fully redistributed to the food distribution work, and is absolutely vital to some of the underlying work around the food distribution at this point. So part of it is we didn't have the horsepower, and then on our partner side, we weren't seeing the movement forward as well. So for this 6-month cycle, it didn't feel like it rose to the level of a top priority for us. It doesn't mean it's done, and it doesn't mean it's off the table. It's just not something that we're able to resource at this point.
So that's something that potentially could be reconsidered during the next refresh.
Yes, absolutely. A lot of it will depend on where we are with the pandemic and how we're able to support those who are most vulnerable. That, as you know, remains the top priority, but we will look at that at the next refresh.
Great. And then I just want to get a better understanding of your ranking system, your WSJF list. And so you had, I'll just take for example, cybersecurity, which got a score of 3. And it's obviously a top priority for the city, and it's on your updated roadmap. So I'm just trying to reconcile the scoring system with what's showing up on the updated roadmap.
Yeah, can you flip back to the score piece? So cybersecurity, weighted shortage job first, it shows a combination of the value, which is the first 3 columns, and how complex the job is. We talked about this, 2 things. One, if you just look at the value, the cybersecurity comes out as one of the top value projects, top 5, I think. And the reason for that is the risk mitigation piece, right? So we've seen, I'll just take the public sector folks. You've seen Garmin lose all of their access to their data. You've seen Twitter hacked at scale. And we've seen all sorts of cities that have been held cyber ransom and cyber attacks at increasing levels. So doing cybersecurity right is critical to enable us to do everything else. The reason that it sinks a little bit lower to the bottom is that the estimate, when we believe, as we talked about as a team, we may have estimated it kind of high, is that it's a really complex job to do well, especially as we go distributed, especially as we have more digital services, and especially as the bad guys are attacking us more and more. So we wanted to realize that if we were going to do this, we needed to put some serious muscle behind it. Even with that level of complexity, it still made the cut. And so the ranking on the far side, the weighted shortage job first, is not the ultimate ranking of prioritization, but it's an indicator of whether it's sort of worthwhile to do it. And it's definitely made that cut. I would argue that we probably overestimated the complexity, but then again, I don't have to do the actual work. Rob, Jerry, points that I've missed?
I think you captured that well. We actually debated that, Vice Mayor, in the rankings, and we talked about how much work there is and how pervasive that work is, and how much of a shift it is. So it's accurate, but you're absolutely right, and we all felt that it needed to be somewhere near the top for that reason, because it's either a limiter or an enabler.
Great, thank you. that answered my question.
Okay, thank you. I see no hands raised from the panel, but I guess it all goes back to me for resources. I know we're paring down our work here. We're shifting to digital a lot more, and we're allowing for work from home. And I know we're short-staffed, but that kind of underscores the point. From a resource perspective, like how much of this is sustainable, even pared down? Or I just want to make the point about budgets and whatnot. I know we're facing a shortfall, but and I know in the larger scheme of things, newer computers or IT type stuff sounds less important. But I do feel that this is the skeleton, like the foundations with which we're getting stuff done at the city now. So I just want to give staff an opportunity to kind of raise that concern or that issue.
I'm going to let Rob and maybe Dolan address this one directly, because they're a little bit closer to the pain of that than I am.
So the three things I would say very quickly, Chair, is that we agree. And there is a lot that we need to enable employees to have so that they can provide the municipal services and not feel like they're held back by the tools that they're using. Computers, access, software, those things are highlighted in this distributed environment because you have so many barriers that are potentially between you and the tools that you need to do your job. And then at the same time, the community is asking for not only that we do the normal services, but that we step up and do things like food and necessities and helping with testing, community connectivity, and those types of things. So we actually have done some work with the EOC, and you'll hear more about this in the Drive to Digital and the Powered by People, are specific asks that we're making to secure the city better and to unveil a lot of those tools to our now distributed workforce so that they can do the things that you're talking about. So there are some potential uses of CRF funds and future funds. There's items being addressed through the budget process and rebudgeting. And you'll be seeing that as council considers those items in August and September. But we absolutely agree. And one of the sins that we could commit is we deprioritize the tech, and then you don't get the full value of your employee because they're held back by the ability to access, collaborate, and use the tools that they need. So totally agree, and you'll see more coming soon through the budget processes.
Dolan, anything you wanted to add to that?
I think two things I would add. When we went through this prioritization, we definitely took into consideration our knowledge of where the innovation team, where ITD, as well as the departments were in terms of being able to take these projects on the roadmap forward. The second thing is that we're still in the top-down phase. I know that with the small percentage of time Registry can focus on this, we'll have to do a bottoms-up from the departments, and that the bottoms-up from the departments will then kind of true up which departments are able to continue the work because they have staff that has not been downsized, they have the ability to continue, or where things may take longer or things may just have been put on hold. So I think that you'll see your concerns start to play out in the next couple of iterations. And we'll certainly, Registry, I'm sure, will be giving you those updates on a monthly basis.
Thank you, Dolan. Then just also to kind of follow up with the question and use staff to maybe express some frustration of my own is, would we as a city be better served if we were able to do something or update our procurement process?
Well, I believe I said not too long ago something that misunderstood, that one of the last things I do is want to be able to improve our procurement processes. Yes, I think that we were so close to having the procurement improvement and readiness project get kicked off with a competitively procured consultant to look at that. And I do think that's one of the things we need to revisit, not only for business as usual, but also for emergency response.
And I've got to double down on that. You know, there's a belief that when you're in an emergency, you can just point your finger and get what you need. The reality is there are still procurement rules that sometimes we write, sometimes the federal government imposes, that are in place around that. And we have struggled to get everything from the right PPE to getting the food distribution contracts out, to get food out to people, to make sure that we can move through on the hotspots. And on every one of those, our existing procurement systems have been stressed and stretched, and in some cases, we've gone ahead without the formal procurement process and had it catch up behind, rather than not be able to get the food out there or not be able to get the PPE out there. And so we put ourselves at considerable legal risk to do that, believing that it's important. But it would be nice to have a system that was able to move at the speed of an emergency and be able to move in non-emergent times in response to the priorities. And we were just about to start that work, as Dolan said, when this changed all of our focus.
Sure. So thank you. I just shared that, or I raised that question because, you know, and when we first started working from home, I think everybody was hopeful that we'd be back in a month or so. But as we realized this is the year of working from home, then I've been trying to wrap my head around better ways to be nimble and serve the constituents that I represent and work collaboratively with my own staff. And so I've been trying to look into various tools and whatnot, but it's not easy to acquire. There are a lot of processes to navigate, so it's been frustrating for me personally. Mayor Liccardo, did you have follow-up?
Yeah, I just was fascinated by the scoring system, the Fibonacci numbers and the division and all that kind of stuff. Could we go back to that page? This is darned interesting to me, how you guys got to all this. So could you just articulate a little bit? You picked the Fibonacci sequence because you believe if priorities are too close to each other, then we won't sufficiently count or score the ones that are the best. Is that the problem?
Yeah, so let me geek out for just a moment on this
Yeah.
one, council member. So if you look at human cognition, when you have a 0 to 10 scale, for example,
Right.
People, there's not much distinction between a 7 or an 8 or a 7 and a 6, right? And so people tend to sort of score things, and you get this kind of peanut butter effect where you really don't have to think about it that much. What the Fibonacci sequence does is it breaks things down into chunks that are increasingly farther apart. And so, whereas you could just, so normally if I had a 1 to 10 scale, and you had somebody who thinks it's a 10 and somebody who thinks it's an 8, you're just like, okay, let's make it a 9, and we compromise, but we haven't really talked about it. But the difference between a 21 and a 13 and an 8 is a huge swing. And so you're like, is it 8 or is it 21? And then you have to say why you think it's a 21, why not? And part of what this does for us as a leadership team is we more deeply understand the diverse perspectives in the room and are able to then more accurately prioritize, so that the gaps that the Fibonacci sequence creates cognitively force a sharper argumentation than being able to just compromise with a peanut butter blend of 0 to 10.
Right. Okay, interesting. And then you use job duration as a denominator because we're looking for immediate impact.
Exactly. And people will, again, cognitively, people tend to just look at how valuable or important it is and then underestimate how complex or hard it is to actually get it done. And so what you make mistakes in two directions when you do that. First mistake you make is you select this big, huge thing that's really valuable but impossible to get done.
Right.
Or you miss the really small thing that isn't hugely valuable but can be done really easily. And so weighted shortest job first tries to balance out that cognitive bias and force you to look at really how hard are these big projects and value some smaller projects. I'll pick an example here. The community Wi-Fi at libraries and parks is a relatively straightforward project. And it scores so high because it has a huge community impact, and you make sure that you don't undervalue that just because it's a relatively small project. So it becomes prioritized in all that we do, even though in the scheme of things, it's a couple $100,000 and a couple of a dozen community centers. It pops to the top of this list because we recognize it both has high impact and is easy to do.
Okay, thank you for educating me. Very cool.
All right, see no other comments. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Oh, sorry, Councilmember, so moved. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, but before we vote, Councilmember Jimenez.
Yeah, thank you. I just had a much broader question. So, you know, I've been on this committee, I think, about a year or so. There's certainly some of the discussion that revolves around even the ranking that you just went over, Kip, that to be honest with you is beyond me. I'm trying to wrap my head around everything you were saying as you were geeking out, which I very much appreciate. I find it fascinating, but I don't pretend to be able to understand it. And I'm not sure it's my role to understand exactly every inch of what you all do or how you get to this. But what I'm curious about, and the reason I say it's a broader question, is it seems to make sense what you described to me on the surface. But what I wonder is, it doesn't seem to me that other committees, or we don't often hear about this type of ranking in other broader conversations during city council meetings, during other committees. And so I'm curious as to how you go about deciding how to use this particular ranking, and whether it's used within other departments or other spaces in which we're trying to figure out how to best approach things.
It's a really good question, council member. And I would say a couple of things. One is we try to use the process as a guide, not as an absolute decision maker. So part of what we do is we when we do something like this is then check this out both with ourselves and with others and others' perspectives, including you. It's like, this is what the process came up with, that we get it right. What we've done is we found the process is this particular process is most useful when you have over 20 different things that you're trying to prioritize. There are more than 2 departments or 2 work groups involved, and the areas of domain expertise are more than one person can know, right? So what we found is that we've actually found that condition happens a lot within the context of the Emergency Operations Center. So we've used this to make roadmaps and prioritize things as diverse as the way that we've approached the food distribution to the way that we've approached prioritizing communication. Because this is a really good tool to get a handle on ambiguity when you have a large number of things to choose against, and no one person can know it all, right? And so we think there's probably broader applicability, quite frankly. And one of the things we've been talking about, and I welcome your perspective and others' perspectives on this, is, in this era of constrained resources where people are facing literally life and death, right? Should we be applying some of these techniques with a real strong equity perspective to the larger work and see what's yielded of that? And we're thinking about that, because it's the intent of this is to surface to the decision makers what's most important and to see if that's the right answer. And so again, we found it most useful when you have more than 20 items, really complex stuff that nobody can figure out, and diverse field of play.
Okay, and I got to imagine that applies, I think you mentioned the EOC, but that's got to apply to other things that are happening around the city, right? And so, and how many other spaces would you say this type of ranking or this type of strategy is moving forward?
I would say we've used it at least a dozen times over the last 6 months, probably more. It doesn't fit every need, but especially when things have turned upside down, the mere fact of gathering a team of dedicated, smart people and having them debate, well, what is the value to the community? Well, what is the risk? How hard is this? Is really, really useful, because most of the time, most of the things we do as a city, we do them all the time and we know how to do them. Now, in this moment, it feels like everything is new, even things we thought we knew how to do. How do you do an inspection? How do you do a video inspection? So we found this tool particularly useful in this time of extreme change.
Okay, I appreciate it. I just sometimes wonder just the novelty of some of these, it would seem to me to be new approaches as ranking and such, if given the fact that this is a smart cities committee, of sometimes I feel like, which is fine, I feel like you all sort of go the extra step and innovate in such ways that I don't see in other committees, which I appreciate, but I think for us non-techie folks, and I count myself as one of those, sometimes it's, I just try to make sense of why the changes and approaches, but as you're describing, it's been used in other ways. I guess I just wasn't as aware of it.
Yeah, and some of what we do here doesn't, is intentionally, when you innovate, you have failures, right? And so part of what we believe is that old saying, you attract more flies with honey than vinegar. We'll try things out here and in this context with this team, and if it's valuable, other departments and other groups started adopting it. If it's not valuable, it sort of declines. And this is one where we've seen others begin to adopt it. And so we think there's value beyond just sort of the tech world.
And so can I ask you a very loaded question? And it's this, when you're, and I'm not sure if this is your brainchild, Kip, or if, who sort of decided, okay, let's try this out. But do you get pushback from other departments or other folks that maybe you're thinking, okay, this is a little too techy for me. Let's just go down to the old type of ranking type of 1 through 10, you know?
Yeah, a lot less pushback now than we used to. And part of what I always, when we do these sessions with other groups, part of what I tell them at the very beginning is two things. One, give yourself over to the process, give it a try, right? Two, if you don't like the outcome, you can throw it out and you can go back to the old way you're doing it. So we try to, one of the other principles in emergency management is you get the right people together and then you trust the people. And so we try to give the groups control over the decision-making process. If this tool is useful for them, they adopt it. If it's not, they can toss it out.
Okay, all right. And so given everything we described about the process in 6 months, what is it that we should expect to see as it relates to what's going to be on the roadmap, what's going to fall off, and the approaches? What would we see different during this presentation?
What I would expect is that, first of all, we'll start tracking the actual progress on these items. We've got our semi-traffic light version over there. And I should expect that 6 months from now, many of these will be either, several of these will be done, and many of these will be substantially along the way. And then hopefully also in 6 months, we'll have a better sense of how long we are in this in terms of the public health aspect itself, and have the opportunity to reprioritize with that new knowledge. But the idea is that we can actually get a lot of these done or substantially toward the goal line in the next 6 months.
So would you say the trigger for reprioritization is going to be where we are with regards to the whole COVID related, the health aspect of this and how we're operating as a city and a county?
Yeah, it is. And I think my estimate right now is that 6 months from now, we'll still be in this. We may be close to finding a vaccine, but that won't be helpful to the average person on the street yet. And so the focus should and needs to stay on our COVID response, which, as you know, is compliance with the public health orders, supporting the most vulnerable, and providing those essential services.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, and with that, can we get a vote on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Nope, seeing none, the motion passes. We can move on to the next item, Kip.
This next one is our food distribution. And I'll start this out with a quote from Andrea Flores Shelton, who said, the mashup of PRNS and civic innovation is able to accomplish some amazing things. So I'd like to turn it over to that mashup and have Angel Rios, who is both Deputy City Manager and the Ops Lead for the Emergency Operations Center, articulate the work of this amazing team on this important issue. Angel.
Thank you, Kip. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm also joined by Don Beckel, Civic Innovation Director, and also EOC Food Branch Co-Lead, as well as Neil Rufino, Assistant Director for PRNS and the EOC Food Branch Co-Lead. We're here to talk about food distribution. And I think what you'll see throughout this presentation is the way we've kind of combined and used some of those innovation principles to really scale and do our work in this area of food distribution. Just as way of context, within the first few weeks of the COVID outbreak, we saw food insecurity nearly double in Santa Clara County. And so we had to act really fast. And so I think it's safe to say that we truly avoided a major food crisis here in our county, here in our city specifically. And I tell you, we put together a pretty solid food network consisting of partners such as the Second Harvest Food Bank, the Health Trust, Silicon Valley Council of Nonprofits, Martha's Kitchen, Loaves and Fishes, Hunger at Home, Team San Jose, Catholic Charities, School of Arts and Culture, and so many, many more. I probably shouldn't start naming people because I'm going to never leave people out that I'm going to get some hate emails. But I wanted to give you some examples of just kind of the scope and magnitude of some of our partners. And together, we literally work together to really scale up a business in less than a few weeks around a support system to ensure food distribution countywide. Today, next slide, please. Today, we're going to focus on some of these areas here, give you an update, a little quick snapshot on the EOC roadmap and where food fits in within that roadmap. Countywide food insecurity, innovating countywide food distribution, and some of the tools that we developed. Grants, a status update around grants and contracts. Share a few success stories, as well as some challenges and lessons learned through this process, and a quick update on interagency agreements, transition, and next steps. Moving on, so this is our roadmap, and we basically use the same process that Kip and the team just described earlier, previously, or prior to this presentation, to take us through this process. And as you can see, you know, the top 4 items that rose to the top using that process were these up here on the screen. And you'll see number 3 is focused on food. And what we saw early on, as I mentioned, we saw the quick need. We saw food distribution sites literally going down in real time. And then we also saw the need to really make sure that, especially given the vulnerable populations in our communities, such as seniors, those that are extremely low income, and those that are medically at risk, you know, we needed to act very fast. Clearly, that was a good call at that time, and still remains one of the top priorities for this COVID response. With that, let me turn it over to Dolan and Neil, who will take you through the rest of the presentation and give you some specifics regarding our approach.
All right, thanks, Angel. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, Honorable Mayor, committee members, members of the public, and city staff. Once again, Dolan Beckel here, Director of the Office of Civic Innovation and Digital Strategy, the Office of One, but currently the EOC co-lead for the Food and Necessities Distribution Branch. The picture, or in this case, a graph, says 1,000 words. And while some have seen this, while some have seen this picture before, it highlights many of the important aspects of countywide food distribution that we want to reinforce in today's report. These 3 horizontal dotted lines highlight 3 important milestones. The bottom line represents food insecurity pre-COVID at approximately 1.8 meals per week across the county. The middle dotted line is the rolling average food insecurity during COVID, currently at 2.6 million meals per week. And the top line highlights the food insecurity index by Professor Starbird at Santa Clara University and his estimate of maximum food insecurity at 3.1 million meals per week as a result of the pandemic and the ongoing economic impact. The stacked bar charts show our 7 major food distribution channels and the critical importance of the county's nonprofit food bank, Second Harvest, shown in blue, the big tall blue. Second, our school program, shown in purple. And third, the Revolution food support to reserve capacity and serve all ages school meals on evenings and weekends, shown in yellow. The graph tells us that we were able to scale programs and reserve capacity to meet the demand and avoid a widespread food crisis so far. We are not out of the woods, and with the elimination of the $600 unemployment stimulus last week, we fear food insecurity will rise again, and we must all be vigilant, and we must be prepared to act quickly if necessary. Fortunately, we'll report in a few minutes the branch is now hitting our stride in issuing grants, contracts, and preparing for continuing competitively procured services through the end of the year within the city. The bottom line is that food insecurity increased dramatically, remains high, and we likely would not have been able to respond without the efforts of our partners like Second Harvest, the Health Trust, the Office of Education, and some of our innovative approaches to scaling this social services program. When the city agreed to the county request to coordinate countywide food distribution and also provide some direct food delivery service, food insecurity was one of the bigger concerns for city and county leadership because of the impact on life, livelihood, and the large number of unknowns. The early models indicated that the county might quickly see 20,000 COVID-19 positive residents needing to isolate during a shelter-in-place order with no access to meals or groceries and no clear touchless to the door delivery channel. City leadership gave Neil and I the directive to 1, move fast, 2, feed our vulnerable and at-risk residents, 3, think outside the box, and 4, worry about the bureaucracy on the back end. So we did, in fact, build a new business, or at least a new city department, in less than 5 weeks, with some key focus areas including countywide governance, maximizing the existing food network, applying innovation principles, standing up a talented team, and reserving capacity to manage risk. When the city took on countywide food coordination and some food service delivery on March 16th, we immediately pivoted all of the Office of Civic Innovation to the nascent EOC food branch. And later, some of the staff also peeled off support digital inclusion and distance learning, as Kip mentioned. These are some of the innovation methods and tools and experiences the innovation team brought to food distribution. We don't have time to really make a lunch out of the slides, so I'm just going to highlight a few and then do a deep dive on a few before I turn the presentation over to Neil. Under methods, the city had been successfully applying John Doerr's objectives and key results concepts, and we once again leveraged them for food distribution. We created 3 clear objectives that were known and supported by the county and our food network partners. We introduced agile techniques such as daily stand-up, scrum teams, and sprint goals to focus the work of over 100 staff in short 1-week sprints. Under the category of tools, we leveraged data to help better engage the public and make better internal decisions. Examples include creating a food distribution dashboard to show our progress towards reducing food insecurity across our 7 major channels. 2, creating a single countywide free food distribution map. And 3, building an operational and financial analytics data store and tools to slice and dice operations data, invoicing data, and reimbursement data under the leadership of Andrew Eric, who also helped us recently become one of only 16 North American cities to achieve silver level Bloomberg What Work City certification for 2020. Under business architecture, given the lack of countywide governance across both grocery and prepared meal delivery, we made sure we mapped the food distribution ecosystem, the processes we and our partners were building so they could be leveraged later. San Jose was also about 14 weeks ahead of Governor Newsom and Chair Dieppe by prototyping the people, processes, and technology necessary to build an at-scale restaurant delivery capability across the county capable of scaling up to 60,000 meals per day. Finally, under partnerships, we entered into and continue to enter into a number of creative and impactful partnerships, including 1, supporting Second Harvest with the San Jose Conservation Corps when the National Guard fully pulled out 1 month earlier than planned. 2, engaging with Google to leverage their worldwide knowledge of food distribution and the food supply chain. 3, reserving large-scale capacity with Revolution Foods as an insurance policy against extremely widespread food insecurity. And 4, during the first week, we entered into a creative partnership with DoorDash and the Health Trust to help the Health Trust deliver meals using DoorDash as their delivery operator. 5, we piloted our large-scale restaurant delivery capability by also building relationships with countywide Mod Pizza and DoorDash to deliver food to county homeless placements. Sometimes it came in with less than hours notice to feed hungry people and fill the gaps with other community-based organizations like West Valley Community Services. And 6, finally, looking to leverage existing contracts to move faster under procurement, we explored piggybacking on state-level procurements, in particular with the nonprofit World Central Kitchens, who were already competitively contracted to provide food for homeless placements elsewhere in the state under Governor Newsom's Project Roomkey. Through these discussions, we learned that World Central Kitchens already had a number of capabilities for restaurant delivery. This allowed us to scale back some of our potential technology investments, leverage the tools of our partners, and be one of the first 5 jurisdictions in the state to quickly stand up the Great Plates Delivered program, which is feeding isolated seniors throughout the state. And these are just a few of the innovative methods, tools, and initiatives the food branch deployed to address food insecurity in the county. With that overview, I'm just going to do a few quick deep dives to show examples of how we applied innovation to food distribution. The 3 objectives we defined for the food branch have held up well, and those are feed our most vulnerable, maximize existing food networks, and scale for a widespread food crisis. There were over 100 high priority tasks in front of us during the first few weeks in March. In order to focus the team on the vital few, we applied the technique that we just discussed, weighted shortest job first, to help prioritize those 100 tasks down to a vital few and define key results for the first quarter of our food distribution response. We applied a basic yet holistic model of plan, deliver, operate, and manage to build a high-performing internal team within 5 weeks while continuously improving our relationships with the community-based organizations and other external stakeholders. When we first started, the team was extremely focused on operate, but we really needed to create an organization, just like any startup, that had to simultaneously plan, deliver, operate, and manage with key leaders like Neil Rufino, Andreas, Flores Shelton, and myself having to wear many hats all at the same time. We also created policy and nonprofit advisory teams that included Second Harvest, Silicon Valley Council of Nonprofits, the county, social services, the Office of Education, and other key organizations to help guide our work. This is a screenshot from the Free Food GIS visualization tool, which greatly helped the community as well as the internal city team. This was a collaborative effort across the Mayor's Office of Technology and Innovation, the Food Branch, our GIS Center of Excellence under Matt Lesh, and our community partners. It should be noted that our communications lead, Ed Batista, also made sure we had physical flyers in multiple languages for those who needed translation and or those who could not access the tool due to digital exclusion. Deloitte helped our city's Information Technology Department, ITD, build a community-based organization survey tool to identify shortages and surpluses of food. This helped us ground truth the bigger picture, which was that we actually had a significantly higher number of surpluses than shortages. It also revealed the opportunity which the county might consider pursuing to leverage technology to better smooth out these shortages and surpluses, as well as communicate alternative location for food distribution to underserved residents in real time should a single site run short. In Tuesday's council meeting, we briefly discussed the concept of large-scale delivery of restaurant-prepared meals. The team actually started pursuing this on March 18th with the possibility of having to deliver up to 3 meals a day to up to 20,000 isolated COVID-19 residents during a shelter-in-place order. The team, including the city's Information Technology Department, Deloitte, and a number of technology providers, including Google, ServiceNow, DoorDash, and Five9's virtual call center, developed a design and did a first few agile iterations of development of the people, process, and technology necessary to achieve this scale we might have seen. Our concern is that we did not want to be the EDD of food distribution. Fortunately, the county had started to flatten the curve, and we found alternative ways of securing this capability. And at a much simpler level, this is what SourceWise and World Central Kitchens are doing for the Great Plates Delivered program. I think we could do an entire study session on food distribution over the last 6 months. Hopefully this gives you a glimpse of what we did, what we'll continue to do for at least the rest of the year, and how we will continue to apply innovation along the way. Now I'd like to introduce my partner in crime, who is much nicer than me, Neil Rufino, the Assistant Director of the city's Department of Parks, Recreations, and Neighborhood Services, PRNS, and my EOC Food Branch co-lead partner in crime to take it the rest of the way. And Neil, I will continue to drive.
Thanks, Dolan, and appreciate the opportunity to come in front of this committee. As Dolan mentioned earlier in the presentation, our Food and Necessities branch works under 3 main objectives: feed our most vulnerable, maximize our existing food network, and be ready to scale for a widespread crisis. This coordinated effort within the branch, again, mostly consisting of the Office of Innovation and Park and Rec staff, provided a great balance between structure, creativity, and community connections. As such, our team looked to provide needed food and necessities as the initial response to the crisis and maximize city and federal resources to support our ongoing efforts. Overall, we have funded a network of agencies in which 89% of the funding has gone to nonprofits. This work could not have been done without the existing nonprofit food infrastructure that we have leaned on to support this, especially, again, Second Harvest of Silicon Valley, who's the region's major force to ensure families do not go hungry, Santa Clara Office of Education, again, for their school coordination, and partners like Health Trust, SourceWise, and Catholic Charities. As you can see from the slide, the diversity of these partnerships here help us meet the initial food need across the county. Our first effort was to meet the surge and to get food and groceries out quickly. We want to work through the appropriate due diligence toward maximizing the city's ability for federal reimbursement. And the next step will be releasing a series of competitive solicitations, including services to support unhoused food delivery, services for meals and groceries to be delivered directly to homes for impacted residents, and funds for a collective impact effort with additional grants to nonprofits that will meet other unmet needs. These solicitation packages are for services that will go through December 30th, which is the end of the current coronavirus relief funding. Alongside this RFP, a series of grants will be targeted to support First Five with infant formula, diapers, and other essentials. Funds that will go to Bateman, who operate our current senior meals program to meet the increased numbers of seniors needing meals, and a grant that will provide nonprofit support to enable Second Harvest grocery preparation delivery to continue meeting the community's needs as the National Guard has recently deployed from their service. Next slide, please. Additional support the city did was coordinating volunteers and staff. As part of the Silicon Valley Strong effort, the team supplied over 5,000 community volunteers, redeployed over 50 city staff in support of the organizations listed on this slide, and again, funded the San Jose Conservation Corps, where their members can directly support Second Harvest. Next slide, please. Next slide, Dolan, please. Oh, there we go, thank you. These are some photos of the programs that example of some of the programs we have. On the top left, this is a food delivery at Franklin McKinley School District in District 7 at Santee Elementary School. Franklin McKinley's school has been providing youth meals Monday, Wednesday, and Friday throughout the year and during the summer. And the Park and Rec Department's Youth Intervention Services, which is pictured here, supported the district's adult community on Fridays so that all ages can get meals on the weekends. The picture on the right is at the Mexican Heritage Plaza. During this crisis, La Plaza has partnered with Second Harvest of Silicon Valley to become another convenient East Side food and supply and information distribution site. In the next year, MHP is planning to provide 12,000 boxes of food and feed over 48,000 community members in need. The bottom left is a picture of the Great Plates Delivered program that Dolan mentioned and we talked about at Tuesday's council. Again, over 1,000 participants, residents who are seniors and high-risk vulnerable populations. We are feeding 1,000 people otherwise would have fell through a successful countywide safety net. The bottom center picture highlights our partnership with First Five of Santa Clara County. First Five, between the months of April through June, distributed out 14,000 diaper kits, 28,000 packages of wipes, and over 9,000 cans of formula through a city grant that we provided. First Five was able to leverage that money for an additional $210,000 to continue that services. The city is looking to continue this partnership throughout the fall. The bottom right picture is the San Francisco 49ers wide receiver Kendrick Bourne and his Bourne Blessed Foundation event. This event took place at Emma Prush Park on June 20th. I would like to thank Councilmember Foley and her team for bringing this opportunity forward. Kendrick Bourne's Blessed Foundation, the TAP Foundation, and Bay City's Produce distributed over 100,000 pounds of fresh fruit and vegetables at the event in partnership with the city. Volunteers came from all over Santa Clara County to help pack boxes of food into residents' vehicles through a drive-through system that allowed for social distancing, in accordance to CDC guidelines. Nearly 1,200 cars picked up 3 boxes of fresh fruit and vegetables for their families at that day. The next slide, please. Next slide, please. While we are still in the middle of this, unprecedented pandemic, part of our business process is to assess where we have been, what we have learned, and adjust to best meet our core objectives. We launched a brand new line of business within the city of San Jose and took on a role in support of the entire county. We are challenged in balancing risk and uncertain financial regulations with the need to respond to the crisis quickly and always focus on the North Star of feeding our most vulnerable. It was challenging working on a new ecosystem and trying to quickly build relationships, business operations, and bringing together diverse and sometimes incomplete data sets. These challenges have provided us the opportunity to improve and build a stronger fabric across the county. For every emergency response, the organization must take the time to assess its challenges, make recommendations, and take actions to improve. We need to rethink and better understand our roles and responsibilities within a regional emergency response. We need to have stronger coordination and a singular vision on budget and tolerance of risk. The city needs to be more involved in an ongoing strategy and ecosystem of food insecurity and what programs that the city should be maintaining to meet the needs of the most vulnerable. And we have to lean in and work closely with our nonprofit partners earlier and support the establishment of a regional food insecurity system. Next slide, please, Dolan. And with that, our next action steps are as follows. The city and county agreement has been signed with an initial end date of August 31st. The county has asked and the city has granted one 30-day extension to fully plan to operationalize this transition now by September 30th. The city to cities agreement negotiations are in process, and we as staff may bring back revised terms to the council for approval. The target end date of the city-city agreement is August 31st, but with our flexibility to extend only to September 30th if mutually agreed upon. The city will be continuing food distribution through at least December 30th, December 31st, only within San Jose, as that is our limitation with the current coronavirus relief funds. We will continue to staff collaboration with our nonprofit partners, the counties, and stakeholders in a regional food insecurity program. And with that, I would like to turn this back to Angel and Kip.
Angel?
All right. Yeah, the only other thing, we did want to also request that the committee cross-reference this to the full council, I believe August 25th. But with that, we'll open up to any questions you may have.
All right, let me see. We have a public speaker. Go ahead, Mr. Soto.
Good afternoon, Council. Paul Soto from the Horseshoe. Thank you for your work, Angel. I already know what you're working up against. And because of what you're working up against, there's limitations as to what your office can actually do concretely. So I want to let you know that I understand that, and I appreciate whatever efforts that you can to push up against that. Secondly, is that it's not enough. It is not enough. Thank you for all the work you're doing. It is not enough. Okay, there's people dying on the east side. I need to reiterate that because I feel like I need to. And that is the disturbing part for me as a human being and as a citizen. I don't care whether or not J. Paul has a permit. I don't care about Mayor Mckinley. In fact, that Fallon House and that statue, they're going to be gone. We're getting rid of those. So both of those are going out of there. So you can let him know that his trophies are going to be gone, because that was the onset of all of this suffering that's going on in the city, is the white supremacy that still exists within the context of city government. Okay. What COVID did is it brought that to the surface, but because the system is still not having that conversation about white supremacy and the way that it has this inflated sense of the superior, and it subjugates what it perceives as inferior, that symptom of that system is evident in what we're looking at in the food distribution and the necessity for food distribution. Okay, so until we get at that, that is the core. Until we get at that, all of your work is for nothing. It's meaningless. It's worthless, because what you're doing is you're like Atlas, pushing the rock up the hill and running right back down and pushing it right back up, because the core issues of white supremacy and the way that its symptomatic manifestations has been the digital divide, the food distribution, the lack of housing, poor and poverty being endemic to the east side. Until you deal with that, all of this work is for nothing. Thank you.
All right, returning to council. Anybody have any questions from the panel?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mayor.
Thank you. I was just trying to find the little blue hand, so I used the old-fashioned way. Thank you, Councilor Kip. Hey, first, I just wanted to say thank you to everybody for all the incredible work here in so many ways. Dolan and Neil and Angel and Kip and everybody who's been deeply involved in this. I know this was a responsibility that was not ours. We took it on for the county. And we're serving many other cities and other communities as well. And that's because that's what we believe in doing in a time of a crisis. And I appreciate that enormously. And I do think this work matters enormously. And what you're doing is incredibly important. Contrary to what anyone may say, thousands of families are depending on it. I wanted to first, I know we had some conversation at the council meeting a couple of days ago about Great Plates Delivered, Angel. I just wanted to follow up. I did have a conversation with the governor's office about that. And it appears that the two constraints that I seem to be most troubled with, one is that the criteria for recipients of that program, that they could not have been receiving CalFresh or other benefits. That appears to be a requirement imposed by FEMA that the state doesn't have any control over. I guess you knew that already, Dawn, and everybody. So I'm sorry I wasted your time thinking we could get that obstacle out of the way, but that was an obstacle not of anyone in California's creation. And then the other issue, I think, relating to the 30-day renewals, you probably know, is also really a creation of FEMA. They're similarly frustrated, and they just didn't have a solution to dealing with the on-again, off-again nature of the program. So I think we're stuck with what we got until the federal regulators change it. In the meantime, I know we've got a lot of other mechanisms, or I guess 7 different food delivery approaches. So appreciate all the diversity that's needed here. I had a question about the National Guard pulling out. I actually wasn't aware of that. What were the circumstances?
So, Mayor, this is Dolan. The National Guard's disposition at Second Harvest was questionable from the beginning. I mean, it was hard to get a clear end date. We finally got an end date that by the end of August, they would be fully redeployed and not be supporting Second Harvest. We hope for the best, but plan for the worst, which is why we quickly, thanks to Kelly Parmley, moved quickly to get a contract in place with the San Jose Conservation Corps, and we began to backfill, and then the National Guard actually pulled out sooner. Last Friday was actually their last day. But fortunately, the backfilling occurred well, and talking to Tracy Weatherby, they're very satisfied with the San Jose Conservation Corps' replacement of the National Guard, and that all seems to be going well. So we fortunately were able to transition much earlier than the federal government said that we would have to.
And that was that decision made in Sacramento or Washington about the National Guard?
I would have to ask Kip, and we may have to go back to Ray Reardon at the EOC to confirm that.
Yeah, from what I understand, because I actually was having conversations directly with them, that from what I was told, that was coming from Washington through the state. And in fact, we were successful in getting an extension by 3 weeks because they were actually supposed to leave even sooner than they did. So we were successful in doing that, but yeah.
Angel, I think we're losing you.
We understood. And then to go, you know what? I'm going to turn off my video. See
yeah, that'd be great, Angel. We're going to hook you up to Eastside Wi-Fi soon.
Yeah, I need it. Hopefully you can hear me better now.
A little better.
Hear me better now? Okay. Yeah. So in terms of, because one of the challenges that Second Harvest is having, and a lot of our other nonprofits, is obviously the loss of volunteers, just given, the fear by many to kind of go out and do this kind of work and really expose themselves. So the good news is that we do have San Jose Conservation Corps. They have about 121 Corps members that have been able to step in to help, and it, according to Second Harvest, has been pretty seamless.
And the federal government had made the decision to pull back their funding of the National Guards at the state level, with the exception of Florida and Texas. So the additional bill for the Guard would have gone to the state and or been passed through to us. So given that uncertainty, and given also the opportunity to employ local youth through the Conservation Corps with an emergency management compliant contract, we felt it was best to go ahead and do that transition when we could do it in an orderly way, and in a way that can support our local youth in a time that matters, in the way that it matters, rather than hope that presidential politics change.
Wow, so they kept funding it in Florida and Texas and cut out the food distribution everywhere else?
Yeah.
As they were sending federal agents into Portland. That's great. The distribution of diapers and baby whites and formula and so forth, do we have any sense how many families we're serving weekly through that program?
Uh, I don't think we have those numbers directly. We have, let me go back to those slides. It was, you know, thousands of families, I think. And part of this was effort that was provided countywide.
Yeah.
Mayor, we were, you know, with First Five, they have their family resource centers, you know, up and down the county, down through Gilroy. So we can follow up with the direct
No, that's okay.
distribution. I believe they have a different cycle of distribution per their family resource centers. I believe it's spread out monthly.
Yeah, well, that's tremendous. Thank you for everything you guys have done.
So 7,000 a month is the average of distribution of diapers.
7,000 families a month.
Yeah.
Are those unduplicated or?
Waiting for some of that data.
Okay, that's all right. I won't take up your time with it. Thank you, Chair.
All right, Vice Mayor Jones.
Thank you, Chair. I want to talk about food sourcing, and I can give you a specific example. So I have a neighborhood in my district who wanted to do a neighborhood effort of collecting all of the fruit from the various neighborhood fruit trees and donate that fruit to the needy or to the city. And they were prohibited from doing it because of liability reasons and other legal reasons. And so we weren't able to move forward with that. So my question is in terms of food sourcing, you know, that's an issue where if individuals want to donate, you know, fruit from their trees or produce, they're prohibited from doing it. And also, I'm not sure in terms of like Hunger at Home and that initiative in terms of restaurants donating surplus food to the food banks. What is going on with food sourcing in this program?
Vice Mayor, I think a couple things. First of all, at a macro level, you know, except for about a 2-week period, food sourcing was not an issue, neither in the state nor really nationwide. It was the food distribution that was breaking down, right? It was getting it from point A to point B, breaking it down in point B. So in the global sense, you know, the sourcing of food we monitor closely, was not an issue in the city of San Jose or in the county of Santa Clara. We are lucky to be close to the farming community, which helps as well because nonprofits like Second Harvest get a lot of their food comes right from the farms in the Imperial Valley to the county. In terms of food sourcing from a safety perspective, you know, the county has guidelines set out. World Central Kitchens has their own guidelines that match the county as well. And Hunger at Home is providing services within the county, and I believe that they are continuing to take donations. I believe that Second Harvest continues to take donations, and those can be coordinated directly with those nonprofits, or we can help facilitate that communication. We have received a number of oversupplies and opportunities that we have coordinated. So you could have someone feel free to reach out to Neil or myself, and we can connect basically the supply and the demand to get any excess food out to our vulnerable population.
Yeah,
So, Vice Mayor, Vice Mayor, this is Neil. Just to jump in on that, I think one of the recommendations that we have is, you know, for the city of San Jose as an entity to really continue a partnership inside the county and with the nonprofits around the larger issue of the food insecurity world. You know, there's a industry within the nonprofits and the private sectors on food rescue, right, coming from grocery stores and from restaurants, and how does that, how can that play out on an ongoing basis and have a network that can ensure that no food goes to waste, right? Because there's a large number of unused food, right, that should be out to families in great need. And so I think one of our efforts, especially what we've learned here in our partnership with the nonprofits, is the need for a regional coordinated effort to understand, you know, the issue here in, you know, in Silicon Valley.
Yeah, yeah, and Vice Mayor, if I could add to that, you know, we also have Vegelution as one of our partners, and you know they have, you know, they do farming right at Prush Park, and then they actually use they have their own truck, and so they basically take, you know, food that they literally homegrown grow and then distribute. We've activated them. They were one of our partners early on, and then also we're in conversations now. Unfortunately, we can't use any of the FEMA or coronavirus money, but with Valley Verde, and what we're really exploring with them is this possibility of how do we support and encourage organizations that support households that are actually farming in their yards, right, their backyard, a strip of yard, and to ensure that they can in turn share what they grow with other neighbors, and again minimizing any liability issues, right, because that's always the issue that comes up. But we are talking with Raul Lozano, their executive director over there, and we're hopeful that we can arrive at some creative solution there, because there's definitely a need, and that's definitely a good source.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. I haven't fact checked this, but I was told that about 40% of all food goes to waste. It's a shame if we have people going hungry and people are just throwing out food, or you have food that's rotting on trees and people's yards, and it's just going to waste when people are hungry. So I'm glad that you were looking into addressing that issue. So thank you, Angel and Dolan.
On the food side, I'm curious, are we, you know, best we can, trying to accommodate the cultural preferences of our diverse community?
Yes, in multiple ways. Actually, a number of our grantees or procured providers are accommodating dietary needs and cultural preferences. We specifically brought on 2 recently to do that. I know that we actually engaged a dietitian from SourceWise to look across all of our participants and figure out the right cultural menu and right dietary menu. And if you think about, we've also activated for the restaurants, we've activated restaurants that meet those cultural needs. We've Pedro's, for example, with a Mexican cuisine, Pho Bang with a Vietnamese cuisine that's right located in those 3 zip codes that are the most impacted on East San Jose. Yes, we have absolutely done that both from a restaurant delivery side and our nonprofit partners.
Okay, excellent. And I've heard anecdotally some restaurants, you know, attempting to apply for the Great Plates Delivered program and then trying to be on that, but then having trouble being a part of the program. Do we have any experience with that, or can we comment on that?
Yeah, so I'm sorry, Neil started to talk. I'll let him go.
I'll just say, so, you know, there's always a few incidents that we've had. SourceWise, as the agency that has managed the intake process, has been, you know, 110% responsive to any issues that we've had. So if there are specific incidents where there's been residents who have not received the right service for it, or they were denied for specific reasons, please let us know. SourceWise as well does its best to qualify that residents who don't qualify for the Great Plates Delivered program into their and other nonprofits' traditional Meals on Wheels program. Our staff, the Park and Rec staff, in one incident near one of the community centers, hand-delivered food from our senior meals program into an apartment across the street because of, you know, there's some challenges with a delivery option. So, you know, the staff who gets the concerns or the complaints, we will do everything that we can to meet the needs. And SourceWise and World Central Kitchen has been great once we have heard of an issue and rectify it very quickly.
I was more curious about if I'm a restaurant and I want to participate to get the.
Oh, restaurant, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to put that in perspective, Councilmember Chair Diep, there are 7,000 restaurants in Santa Clara County. About 350 applied over a 4-week period. So about 3 to 4% of the restaurants actually applied. So surprisingly, the interest was low. We then used a number of different criteria to select the number of restaurants. We've activated 9 so far, and we may activate more as we make improvements to the program. The criteria, much like the criteria for the actual participants, the criteria for the restaurant has some constraints as well. None of them can be participating in any type of state or federal food distribution program. None of them can be providing any subsidies. We then went on to identify our own criteria, which was small, family-owned, local, minority-run businesses. We wanted to make sure they were geographically located close to the participants, so the meals made it in a timely manner. The cultural and dietary needs, and a few other criteria. So, I think that in the beginning there was probably an overpromise and underdeliver from the restaurants who thought this program of the governor's was going to be able to activate more restaurants, and it did. It just economically doesn't work out to have less than about 150 orders per restaurant. So that's how we're kind of at our 9 so far. But we definitely have that list. We know who's interested, and as we continue to make improvements to the program, hopefully it continues to get extended past September 9th. We're already looking at potentially activating a few more restaurants.
All right, thank you, Dolan and Neil. I appreciate that. Seeing no further public comments or panelists who want to speak, can I get a motion, please?
Move to approve.
Okay.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Being no opposed, that passed. And did the motion incorporate the cross-reference to full council, Councilmember Jimenez?
Yes.
All right, perfect. And let's go on to the next one then.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The next one is the drive to digital. And for that, I'm going to turn it straight over to Jerry Driessen and Rob Lloyd, as well as Kelly Parmalee, who is all part of the EOC team that's leading the drive to digital, which is part of our larger Powered by People 2.0 work we're doing to support our employees in this new world. Rob and Jerry and Kelly, all you.
Good afternoon, Chairperson Dieppe, Mayor, committee members, members of the public. Rob Lloyd, CIO for the city. As you know and have experienced, COVID-19 has had a fast transformational impact on the city. It has and continues to reshape how we work and collaborate. It's reshaping the services and interactions we have with our public, as well as pushing us into new areas such as supporting food distribution, housing security, video inspections, community connectivity, and the like. Bottom line is we are reshaping how we're working for the next 5 to 10 years, starting about 3 months ago and into the next year. It's also about how we support our residents and businesses. So today we're going to update you on the rapid shift. Oops, if I can, there we go. On the rapid shift that we call the drive to digital and where it fits into the city's overall new normal. You're going to hear from Kelly Parmalee, our Assistant Director for HR, who's leading a team about executing the thoughtful and important transformation of the city to this new normal. And Jerry's going to share some specific things around digital services and those pieces. As Kip mentioned earlier, it's actually very important to note the history that leads us to today. So we said that with San Jose Smart City Vision that Council and Mayor approved in 2016, that we're going to rebuild the foundations of technology for the city for the moment that it would become very important and to arm ourselves to render superior municipal services. And that all led to COVID-19, and our ability was shaped by 3 years of work to support from council. We also know that there's a lot more to do, but just by way of history, I wanted to talk about how we said that we were going to switch from traditional paper-based government to friendly electronic and digital. That was going to be about how we could execute these services better and in a more friendly way. We talked about how we're going to secure the city. And in this instance, as we distribute people to their homes to work, the multiplication of vulnerabilities that come along with that and the threats that have increased because people have known about those risks. But ultimately, everything boils down to the people and the trust that we have in the organization that allows us to transform. Just by way of infotainment, we did also want to show you how we've changed since January of 2020. So if you take a look at how much we meet electronically versus in person, 6,200% increase. Our VPN remote access usage has increased over 1,200%. The use of tools to work with each other and access files also drastic improvements and increases. And printing has pretty much stopped, where there's a 72% decrease, but a big bulk of what we did print were notices sent to community members based on some deadlines. So the organization is very different today than it was at the start of the year. And Kelly's going to go into how it's going to change and transform even more. Kelly?
Thanks, Rob. I did a pretty good deep dive into the Power by People 2.0 at Council on Tuesday, so I won't do the same thing over again, but I mostly just want to position the drive to digital work as part of a critical strategy for us to move forward with our workforce. And so using this slide as a conceptual guidance, you can see, and we're all being very, very thoughtful about workplace safety. And just as a reminder, we aren't just talking about folks who are at home, but folks also who are working out in the field and folks who are actually in city spaces or work locations. And so 3 things about this. Again, the very first thing, and something we're all very committed to, is a safe workplace. And that's not just how we behave with one another, but some complicated work around how we do facility modifications, for example, to make sure that we've got a safe workplace. And for example, had a great conversation with folks at the police department earlier today to talk about all the work that they're doing to make sure that the PAB and the PAC are really in a good place in terms of facility modifications. And so
could you tell us those TLAs?
The police administration building and the police communications building. So yeah, thanks for that, Kip. And so the conceptual thing here is, number one, safe workplace. The second part of that I would offer up is the complexity with which I begin to really understand in the nature of our work, the way we deliver services, the range of services, and the scope and volume of our services actually create a level of complexity to do that safe workplace in ways that I would never, have guessed. And our businesses out in the community are certainly faced with similar challenges. We just happen to be the 10th largest city in the United States with an airport to a zoo. And so that it's complicated work. You can see many of the things that are considerations around the outside of the circle, just to name some of the things that make it complicated for us in terms of what we do and how we do it. And then I would say the third thing is about 40% of our workforce is working remotely. That's about 2,300 full-time people, or a bit more some days, we're sure. And then about 40% are working in the field in a range of situations. And then about 20% are actually in the city facilities. So the dispersion of our workforce also poses some complexity. And the 2 items here, the drive to digital and effective virtual teams, are specifically named as ways for us to really think hard about how do we use the current circumstances as a way to really push the adoption of drive to digital. And then also, how do we support teams to be effective not only in a virtual environment, but also in a dispersed or hybrid environment. And so this transitioned into 4 key objectives. If you want to go to the next slide, Rob. And so I mentioned these on Tuesday. We can't say enough about the work that's going on related to safety, but also employee health and wellness. And again, I mentioned effective virtual teams. What I want to offer in terms of positioning today's conversation, and Jerry will take it over in just a minute, is really how much work has happened and how much innovation has actually happened, sometimes in small ways, around going to digital. As an HR department, we're used to conducting new employee welcome inside a physical space. And in the matter of about 2 weeks, we had moved from our last 2 new employee welcomes in city council or in council chambers and turned it into a virtual environment. And we've been iterating to improve ever since, to go totally digital and not have paper and all those kinds of things. Just one example of it. And then I think the thing that's really, really critical to a dispersed workforce is our ability to support folks who are working remotely, so they don't have to come into a city space to push that piece of paper or sign off on something. But also folks who are working in hybrid environments have containers where things live virtually for them to be able to easily access and utilize. We talked about the employee portal a little bit earlier. So each of these initiatives, or each of these objectives, has a set of initiatives. And as we transition to the next slide, I'll turn it over to Jerry to talk about essentially a handful of initiatives on the roadmap in support of Powered by People. Number one, supporting employee safety for sure, but also increase organizational effectiveness as we have our workforce dispersed in a variety of locations, doing a variety of things in ways that we never would have imagined before. Jerry?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, Honorable Mayor, members of the committee, members of the public. My name is Jerry Driessen, Assistant Chief Information Officer for the city. As Kelly said, there are many components to the Powered by People initiative. All of these components that are brought about by several different teams, cross-functional teams across the city, are all focused on providing city staff with what they need to serve our residents. So when you look at the Safe Workplace Initiative, the Employee Health and Wellness, Drive to Digital, Effective Virtual Teams, all of those are components of what we need in our new virtual reality. And technology ripples through all of those layers. So when we look at our new focus and our new reality, technology becomes more important than it ever has been. It's still about people, it's still about our employees, but technology becomes an essential component to delivering or helping our employees deliver service to our residents. We have several IT efforts underway that are part of what we're calling Drive to Digital, and the following slides will dig a little bit deeper into what those initiatives are. So Rob? Just by way of context here, and this is kind of the security slide, security is at the center. When the shelter-in-place order was declared in mid-March, the city had to bring an additional 1,000 employees to a remote environment. And then a total of 2,000, as Kelly said, 2,300 employees per day working remotely at the city. In addition to that, we worked with facilities and the city clerk's office to offer all of our meetings remotely, including the meeting that we're doing right now. And what's helpful about this slide is if you look at the components that center around security, consistent user experience, understanding the devices that we're using, and then understanding the level of access needed, all of those things have to be considered when you're working remotely. And what I will say is, while we're very proud of how fast we went in moving the city to a remote status, we realized that for an ongoing providing remote work in the city, additional investments are needed. We need to be able to balance the security access, mobile equipment needs, and management of those mobile devices, and providing a consistent user experience while simultaneously continuing to focus on securing the city's assets and data. Next slide, please. And this is the remote work portal slide that we've talked a little bit about. The other thing that we realized early on was that employees were used to going to our intranet site to gather information related to city policies and work rules and those sorts of things. When we went to digital, we had to provide one-stop shopping experience to unify the workforce around work-related procedures so that we could keep our employees both informed, engaged, and productive as we worked in our new remote reality. We have needed to shift our mindset in how we make work-related information tools easily accessible to our staff when and where they need them. The city has created and continues to refine our remote work portal to meet this need. And as you can see, we offer up general information about employee directory, online forums, and also how to use Zoom. A lot of resources that employees need on a day-to-day basis. Next slide. Business process automation is one of the marquees of our Drive to Digital. We did start it, as was said earlier, in 2017 in our Technology and Innovation Plan. And business process automation at that time and today is aimed to help our employees perform their job functions to serve our residents. It creates greater efficiency and supports our climate smart goals by reducing the amount of paper we use. Powered by People has heightened the level of urgency and has increased our pace. Paper-driven and manual face-to-face interactions no longer work in our remote world. When we looked left to right, these are the objectives and key results associated with our business process automation. And the first to the left here is a focus on creating digital automated work. This is about beautiful and intuitive forms and workflows that are easy to use, and robust digital approval processes and strong document management processes. The middle is really about the people. It's about empowering them to change, because this work is so transformational and it requires a lot of business process re-engineering. No longer are the ways of face-to-face and paper transactions acceptable in a remote environment. So with that, we need to have cross-functional teams and empower them to change, and that is a big part of the work that we're doing today. And on the right is, that's the tech piece. So that is the secure and scalable tech. So we need easy platforms that can scale quickly to add multiple forms remotely and automate them very quickly. Next slide. So this is a roadmap, and this is the work that we have prioritized, and we did so. I will say that we used the weighted shortest job first for this exercise as well. And you will see on this that many of these forms are internal work processes to support our employees. You will also see that since we signed the contract with our technology provider, our platform, on March 24th, we have put, and actually I need to correct this slide, we now have 6 forms in production as of yesterday morning. 3 of those are related to the Alfresco program, which helps reopen our city's businesses and restaurants. So very important work that we were able to scale very quickly and put into the environment. From the first form that was requested, we actually put it into place in 48 hours from when it was asked. And then, of course, we, as recently as yesterday, the Parks and Plaza program that was adopted was also, we also put in place a automated form for restaurants and businesses to use. We also automated the EOC request form, and the VPN remote access form will go live in the next week or 2. You can see on the left, the other things are mostly focused on internal processes, as a lot of those paper-driven processes need to be replaced so that we can support our workforce as we continue to work remotely. And we know we have many more of those processes to automate, even beyond the initial ones that are in that list. Our current focus is to start inside and get strong at automation, and then move to citizen-facing processes. This slide is also, in addition to business process automation, we also have to focus on tools that make our facilities safer, or provide technology tools to employees so they don't have to come into our facilities. So technology such as virtual agents to answer common inquiries, digital signage to support social distancing in city buildings, remote onboarding tools for existing and new employees, and technologies to help with screening at city buildings such as FirstNet phones, and potentially other self-screening tools. So this is just a kind of a walkthrough or a double click on what's all involved in our Drive to Digital effort. And I'm going to turn it back to Rob.
So just to wrap everything up, at every turn, we're reminded why all these efforts matter so much. We are taking care of our community. That's our residents, our businesses, and each other. So with gratitude to the mayor and council for setting the call in 2016, as well as to the organization, all the people who've owned the steps along the way, they made us ready when the call to action happened with COVID-19. We're happy to say that we've done the work, the heavy work for the emergency response. We have a lot more work to do for the recovery process, but we're also here to answer any questions that you might have of us.
Okay, and with that, we will conclude the presentation and open it up to back to you, Chair.
Great, thank you, Kip. We'll go to the public first. Mr. Soto, go ahead. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Council, and thank you for that analysis of how 42% of the population can work from home. So that leaves 58% that cannot. Now, of that 58%, those are the people that are dying, because those people that 42%, that other 52% or 58% are cooking the food so that you can stay in your home. You know, they're stocking the shelf so that when you do go to the store, or when your DoorDash goes to the store to get your food, these are the people that are at risk. These are the people that are dying. So when you talk about these digital numbers and the people that are able to work from home and have that kind of convenience, those are the people that are pushing up the median income. The median income in San Jose went from 103 to 133 within just a couple of years. 103 to 133 in just a few years. Okay, the rise in homelessness went up 49% within a 2-year period, and that is going to increase exponentially. So, I mean, I don't really know what the value is of this kind of work. Who cares if 42% of the population has the convenience of working from home? Okay, because they're able to work comfortably from home, people on the east side are dying because they can't work from home. You can't load a truck from home. You can't unload a truck from home. You can't cook food from home. They're going into society to work so that 42% can do that work from home. So if you're going to talk about the 42% that are working from home, you know what? You need to start talking about the 58% that don't have that luxury. That's who you need to start talking about, so that there's an equal and opposite reaction to those actions of conveniently ensconcing those people within their homes. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Beekman?
Hello, thank you. For this item, it sounds like you were working on the middle portion of the lecture was about IT stuff. You're working internally with yourselves, and how better tech practices within yourselves can then create a better, person for how to work among the community. And that's like my feelings about accountability and openness, and what you guys work on internally, and how to be open with each other and to create open good practices with each other. That's the kind of thing that gets shared with the community, and that's the things that are needed. You're doing a really good job, it sounds like, all around the city on ideas of Vietnamese translation, and for the Vietnamese community to be more a full part of what we can work on as a community together. And that's very noble of you. The current Zoom app, I can understand, initial, kinks to work out, and things can be difficult at first. It is really incredibly embarrassing that you have to say German in order to find Vietnamese on the translation. And I think we're all really embarrassed by that. I really hope you guys are smart enough to make the extra step to really know how to ask Zoom to switch that term German to the word Vietnamese. It should not be that difficult. We're not living in that era anymore. And for us to be stuck with that era is just incredibly insulting and hurtful. I really implore you, I ask you and I beg, find a way to work through that. We all want to. What's the logic we need to convince people that it can simply say Vietnamese? Please work on open policy, public policy practices. It's vitally important, as what I've described earlier. That's the transition from our past, before pre-COVID, into our future, how we talk about our lives and develop sustainability after COVID. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Beekman. I just want to acknowledge and appreciate your concern for the access of the Vietnamese American community. It's also a concern of mine. And I just got notice from staff that although Zoom is not something that we as a city control, and it's kind of a product through a private company, there will be a change coming in the next version, and we'll have that within the next 2 weeks. So the issue about the German, hit the German button to get Vietnamese translation will be resolved. So thank you for raising it and continuing to raise it. We'll go to the council. And anybody want to speak? Any questions on the rollout to the digital? I see no hands raised, or is if Mayor Liccardo is raising his hand, I can't see it, but.
Move to approve.
All right, second? Any
Second.
Second, all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, seeing none opposed, the motion passes. Anything else, Kip, before we end?
No, thank you. We'll be working out how to do this as we go. Again, you'll see this relentless focus on COVID response and following our roadmap to make sure those essential services continue and we support the most vulnerable. We welcome your feedback as we go and the improvements to the process. But thank you for this opportunity to take a deep dive behind the scenes on some of the work that we've been doing over the last 6 months.
All right, well, we just finished our first Smart Cities Committee over Zoom, so that's something.
Council member, is there a forum, open forum?
Oh, sorry, open forum. Thank you, Ed. We'll go back to open forum, Mr. Soto.
Good afternoon, Council. Kip, I'd like to thank you for at least demonstrating a degree of humility and understanding that there is a lot for you to learn with regard to equity and what exactly that means. I've been the victim of generational inequities, and so you and I are coming from different positions in society, okay? But I no longer have a tolerance for it. You're not challenged with not tolerating it. And so this is the divide that we need to bridge. And so when I talk to you and I talk about equity in the context of government, Mayor Liccardo sat there at the racial equity meeting and he stated very specifically that he was confused as to how to apply an equity lens within the context of city government. I don't think he's very confused anymore. I think, and matter of fact, I think his position is very, very clear. And if it's not, I'll make certain that I'm there every Tuesday to make it clear that every single city department, before it does anything else, at the very top of the list is an equity lens, period. I don't want no more debate, okay? Because I'm not confused over that issue. I'm tired of a bunch of white dudes trying to figure out whether or not we can quantify equity. And these are white people that have absolutely no clue of what it's like to experience generational inequity, racial inequities. I mean, this is the part of the white supremacist ideas that are inserted in city government that people are not rooting out. You know, we got the Chicano Five that are trying their best to, and I mean, my thanks, my sincere thanks to Arenas Carrasco and Esparza. You know, and Jimenez. Sometimes, you know, Perales, you know, he struggles with it, but we can no longer permit these kinds of policies to continue. And this neglect, okay, well, we'll get to the equity lens later, but we're going to make sure Mckinley has a closed street because he needs money. I'm tired of being concerned with making rich people richer. What I'd like to be concerned with is bringing poor people on par. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Beekman.
Hi. The ideas of equity and equality are really important to tech accountability, and they're really compatible. And I really, just hope that we can work together on good tech accountability issues this fall. The same as before. And I think we'll be considering really good ideas of sustainability. And so, with my speech today, with this being the 75th anniversary of the atom bomb falling on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Japan, I think the current state of California ideas of rent forgiveness for tenants and mortgage forgiveness for owners has been some incredible work in this time of COVID-19. These times may be grim, but people's ideas and full forgiveness of both tenants and owners is incredibly compassionate, has good logic. I feel these are the deeper meanings in how to begin to reopen our future. Along with a simple question at this time, how can our future ideas of long-term social planning be based on the genuine concepts of positive sustainability and without hurting mass numbers of people in order to accomplish long-term societal plans and goals? Please consider the many possibilities of how the current tech accountability guidelines, legal precedents, and open democratic practices from the ACLU and certain departments within the state of California and even the UN are specifically meant to address the ideas of peace and how to end continual war and shock doctrine practices. It is to help everyday people and local government together create open, responsible technology, surveillance, and data collection for its local community. Collectively across the country, it is with this in mind that we can create better democratic practices to make important asks and demands of peace at the national and international level and of the UN and of the WHO. To conclude, these are the ways to empower and invite everyday people to be able to talk with different levels of government, how to end the concepts of government corporate shock doctrine, and to help in the work of better reason, humanistic, peaceful ideas many have been working towards for years, decades, centuries, and eons. Thanks for this meeting today, and good luck how we work together this fall on accountability. Thanks.
Well, thank you, Mr. Beekman, and thank you all. This meeting is adjourned.
All right.